seasonal affective disorder, otherwise known as SAD, is a psychological condition that affects a lot of people this time of year towards the end of winter. The side effects include depression, body aches and pains, sleep cycle disruptions like having a hard time waking up every day, needing way more sleep than normal, lethargy, or just generally feeling slow, like you can't move very well, anxiety, hopelessness. Like, none of this is good. And it happens to a lot of people towards the end of every winter. Now, we know what causes seasonal affective disorder, and that is generally the lack of effective sunlight. And effective sunlight is when the Earth's angle is such that the sun coming in through the atmosphere is powerful enough to cause physiological changes in our body that end up being psychological changes. You see, there's a very important hormone that our body produces called D3. And D3 is only produced with adequate sunlight exposure to our skin and to our corneas inside of our eyes. And for a lot of the year, the sun isn't powerful enough to have any positive D3 effects on the body. And D3 eventually downstream turns into dopamine, which is the neuroreceptor that makes us feel happy and optimistic about the future. So you can see that with a prolonged period of time without adequate sunlight exposure, it's easy to get depressed and start feeling just generally bad about life. But there are ways to mitigate this. Now, I live in northern Minnesota, and we have a winter that's about 6 months long. No joke. It is November, December, January, February, March, April, sometimes even May. It depends on the year. But it's generally frozen through those times, and there's generally snow on the ground through those times. So it's really easy for us up here to get seasonal affective disorder. And it affects most people. It's common to say that you have a winter self and a summer self, and those people are different. And the summer self is generally happier, a little looser, let the shoulders hang down more, and just experiences life through a better lens. Although there's nothing you can do to completely get rid of seasonal affective disorder, especially here in the Northland, there are some stuff you can do to reduce the symptoms, like light box therapy is very popular. And that's just a frequency of light that mimics sunlight. And what you do is you don't stare into the box, but you just have it sort of facing your face while you're drinking your coffee in the morning or sort of sitting down getting ready for the day. You just sit with it there, and just it coming towards your face fools you into thinking that you're getting adequate sunlight exposure, and it can mitigate some of the symptoms. Obviously, you can supplement with vitamin D3, as it's called, although it's a hormone, and this has been shown to help. But as always, before you do any sort of supplementation, you can get blood work done at your doctor if you think that you're having really bad seasonal affective disorder. And if your D3 levels are low, your doctor can prescribe you D3 to consume that could help with that. Exercise makes a big impact, especially resistance training and cardiovascular training, especially when combined. Those can start to produce some hormones that make us feel better about ourselves. Although the sun isn't as effective, getting outside as much as you possibly can is always a good idea, although you might need a lot more sunlight exposure this time of year than what you would need in July. It still is good just to get outside as much as you can. And again, up here in northern Minnesota, that's kind of impossible for a little bit unless you don't mind breathing in air that hurts your lungs. I mean, it was -20 for like 3 days in a row here these last couple mornings. Finding community or a peer group or a tribe is really important. Outside of work, you can't really depend on work people to talk about things outside of work and lift your spirits much, and that's where a gym community really comes in and is really helpful. The most impactful thing that I have found for seasonal affective disorder is setting goals, setting smart goals, setting goals that are attainable, that are going to require some work. It gives me something to focus on, and most of these goals are physical. I want to deadlift this or bench this or squat this, and that really does tend to help. when you have goals that are centered around physical achievement that are attainable, you can set and reach those goals and then set a new goal and reach that goal. And that just sort of gives you a compass at a time of year where you're really kind of feeling lost. So let's sum this up real quick. Seasonal affective disorder is something that a lot of people experience, and it's called SAD for a reason. And that's because you're generally just depressed and sad and it feels like you can't get out of first gear. You might have body aches or need a ton of sleep for whatever reason, have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, need twice the amount of coffee that you normally need in the summertime. You're generally just not optimistic, and it's from a lack of sun exposure that's effective at producing a hormone called D3 in our bodies that eventually downstream turns into dopamine, which is the hormone that makes us feel good about life. So you can supplement and should supplement with D3. You should be exercising regularly. You should be getting outside if and when you can for as long as you can. You should find a community of people who will lift you up and make you generally just feel better about your direction in life. And you should absolutely set some physical goals. They don't have to be crazy and they should be attainable. And all of these things will help you get through. But just knowing that most people go through it really does help, especially here in the Northland. Most people have seasonal affective disorder. Most people are really kind of fucked up by it. And the only thing that gets rid of it entirely is finally when spring comes and we can start just being outside as much as we want to. So do the things I recommended, and then at the end, just hold out, wait for spring. It's gonna get better. There's gonna be more sunlight. There's gonna be opportunities to go outside and walk your dog and play with your family and do all the things that you love. Even my dog gets seasonal affective disorder. I feel like Xena is really sad for a few months out of the year because we can't get outside and do the things that we want to do. She has a really thin coat of fur, and like I said, the last couple mornings were negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and she absolutely hates it. She takes 2 steps outside, does her business, gets right back inside. But she is an outdoor lover, and anytime it's warm and sunny, she's laying out next to me in the backyard, or we're going on walks multiple times a day. We're playing fetch for hours. Even dogs get it. These furry little friends need just as much help as we do getting through this rough time of year. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. It really does help with the algorithm as we continue to grow the channel. I'm going to be focused on several things outside of the realm of health and fitness and to general just life stuff, which I think is important. I don't think fitness should be anybody's entire life, but it should be a cornerstone of what makes life better, because after all, we experience life in these bodies, and the more tuned up these bodies are, the better our experience in life is, since this is the vessel that we experience life with. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Who was I talking to there, Zine? Who was I talking to?